Chrysler Minivan. Chrysler was dying in 1979. The company was hemorrhaging cash, dealers were closing, and bankruptcy seemed inevitable. Lee Iacocca, the new CEO, went to Washington, begging for government-backed loans. Congress reluctantly agreed to $1.5 billion in loan guarantees, but everyone assumed Chrysler was finished. Then came the minivan, and it changed everything. The Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager launched in 1984, and they weren't just new vehicles, they invented an entirely new category. Before minivans, families bought station wagons or full-size vans. Station wagons were cramped and uncool. Full-size vans were huge, handled like trucks, and guzzled fuel. The minivan split the difference perfectly. It rode on a front-wheel drive platform, which meant a flat floor and easy entry, 3 rows of seating that could be removed or folded, sliding doors that didn't swing into parking lot traffic, and it drove like a car, not a commercial vehicle. Parents could haul 7 people, groceries, and camping gear without needing a CDL. What most people don't know is how close the minivan came to never existing. Iacocca had championed the concept at Ford in the 1970s, but Henry Ford II killed the project, calling it too risky. When Iacocca moved to Chrysler, he brought the plans with him. Chrysler's engineers refined the design using the K-car platform, keeping development costs brutally low. The gamble paid off instantly. Chrysler couldn't build them fast enough. First-year sales hit 209,000 units. By the end of the decade, minivans were printing money. Chrysler went from near death to profitable in just a few years, repaying the government loans 7 years early with interest. The minivan dominated for decades. At its peak in the early 2000s, Chrysler was selling over 700,000 minivans annually. Competitors rushed to copy it, but Chrysler owned the segment. The town and country became a status symbol in suburbia. The stow-and-go seating system was revolutionary, and even today, the Pacifica remains one of the best family vehicles you can buy. Without the minivan, Chrysler would have collapsed in the 1980s. There would be no Jeep Wrangler resurgence, no Viper, no Ram trucks as a standalone brand. One vehicle born from desperation saved an entire American automaker. Porsche 911. Porsche nearly died in the early 1960s. The 356, their only model, was aging and sales were collapsing. The company was small, barely profitable, and running out of options. They needed a successor that would modernize the brand without alienating loyal customers. The 911 was that car, and it became one of the most iconic sports cars ever built. The 911 debuted in 1964 with a rear-mounted flat-six engine, a design that seemed insane to critics. Putting the engine behind the rear axle created handling characteristics that could kill inexperienced drivers. Lift off the throttle mid-corner, and the rear end would snap around violently. Porsche called it character. Everyone else called it dangerous. But the engineering was brilliant. The flat-six engine was compact, powerful, and had a distinctive sound. The design, penned by Ferdinand Butzi Porsche, was instantly recognizable. Sloping roofline, round headlights, and a fastback shape that looked fast standing still. It was beautiful, and it worked. Sales started slowly, but the 911 built a cult, following among enthusiasts who mastered its tricky handling. Porsche kept refining it, adding more power, better brakes, and improved suspension. By the 1970s, the 911 was dominating motorsports. It won rallies, endurance races, and hill climbs. The racing success fed into road car sales, and suddenly Porsche was printing money. Here's what most people miss. Porsche tried to kill the 911 multiple times. In the 1980s, they pushed the front-engine 928 as the replacement. It was faster, more refined, and easier to drive. But customers didn't care. They wanted the 911, with all its quirks and danger. Porsche finally gave up trying to replace it and instead committed to evolving it forever. Today, the 911 is over 60 years old and still in production. It's been refined into one of the best sports cars at any price, but it still has that rear engine and that distinctive silhouette. Every generation sells out. Special editions become instant collectibles, and the 911 remains Porsche's most profitable model. Without the 911, Porsche would have been absorbed or bankrupted decades ago. Instead, it became one of the most valuable car brands on earth, all because they built a rear-engine sports car that everyone said was too dangerous to succeed. Ford Mustang. Ford wasn't bankrupt in 1964, but they were struggling with image. The company was seen as boring, building practical cars for practical people. Meanwhile, Chevrolet had the Corvette, and youth culture was exploding. Ford needed something exciting, affordable, and cool. Lee Iacocca, then a Ford executive, championed a new concept, the pony car. The Mustang launched in April 1964 as a 1965 model. It wasn't revolutionary mechanically. Under the skin sat a modified Falcon platform with existing Ford engines, but the packaging was genius. Long hood, short deck, sporty styling, and a base price under $2,400. You could buy a secretary's car with a 6-cylinder engine or spec it into a tire-shredding V8 muscle machine. The response was insane. Ford projected 100,000 sales in the first year. They sold over 400,000 in the first 12 months. Dealerships had waiting lists. People were buying Mustangs before they'd even test-driven one. The car created a cultural phenomenon, appearing in movies, TV shows, and driveways across America. What made the Mustang brilliant was the options list. Ford offered multiple engines, transmission choices, appearance packages, and performance upgrades. Two people could buy Mustangs on the same day and drive away with completely different cars. That customization created massive profit margins and kept customers coming back. By 1966, the Mustang had spawned an entire segment. Chevrolet rushed out the Camaro, Dodge launched the Challenger, Plymouth built the Barracuda, but Ford got there first and dominated. The Mustang made Ford cool again, especially with younger buyers who'd never considered the brand. Ford has never stopped building the Mustang. Through 6 decades and 6 generations, it's remained in continuous production. When Ford killed most of their sedans in 2018 to focus on trucks and SUVs, the Mustang survived. It's now the last remaining Ford car in North America, and it still sells over 70,000 units annually. The financial impact is staggering. The Mustang has generated billions in revenue and cemented Ford's performance credibility. It proved affordable sports cars could be profitable and created a template every automaker copied. Without the Mustang, Ford might have remained the boring company that built your dad's station wagon. Audi Quattro. Audi was a joke in 1980. The brand sold boring sedans to practical Germans, and their reputation in motorsports was non-existent. Sales were declining, profits were thin, and the company was being overshadowed by Mercedes and BMW. They needed something revolutionary. The Quattro was exactly that, and it saved Audi from irrelevance. The Quattro debuted at the 1980 Geneva Motor Show with a permanent all-wheel drive system in a performance coupe. That combination had never been done before. Everyone assumed all-wheel drive was for off-road vehicles, not sports cars. Audi proved them wrong. The system used a center differential to split power between the front and rear axles, providing traction that rear-wheel drive sports cars couldn't match. Combine that with a turbocharged inline-5 engine making over 200 horsepower, and the Quattro could accelerate out of corners faster than anything else on the road. Rally racing proved the concept. Audi entered the Quattro in the World Rally Championship, and it was immediately dominant. On gravel, snow, and ice, the all-wheel drive system gave them an unfair advantage. They won championships in 1982 and 1984, demolishing the competition. The racing success translated directly into road car sales. What most people don't realize is how expensive and complex the Quattro was to build. Audi lost money on every unit sold during the first few years, but the car transformed the brand's image overnight. Audi went from boring to cutting edge. They became the technology company, the innovator, the brand that did things differently. The Quattro system spread across Audi's entire lineup. By the 1990s, you could get all-wheel drive on everything, from the A4 sedan to the V8 luxury flagship. That differentiation helped Audi compete with BMW and Mercedes on performance, while offering something they didn't: all-weather capability. Today, Quattro is synonymous with Audi. It's a core part of their identity, and most of their models come standard with all-wheel drive. The technology has been refined over 4 decades, but the concept remains the same. And it all started with a rally car that saved the company from mediocrity. Lamborghini Countach. Lamborghini was nearly bankrupt in the early 1970s. The Miura had been a success, but production was small and profits were thin. The company was chaotic, mismanaged, and burning through cash. Founder Ferruccio Lamborghini walked away from the business in 1972, leaving it to collapse. The Countach saved it from extinction. The Countach was insane. Mid-mounted V12 engine, scissor doors that opened upward, and a design that looked like it came from outer space. Designer Marcello Gondini created a shape so radical that people stopped and stared. It was a wedge on wheels, aggressive and futuristic in a way nothing else matched. But the Countach wasn't just beautiful, it was fast. The LP400 made 375 horsepower and could hit 180 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest production cars on Earth. The driving experience was brutal. The clutch was heavy, the steering was unassisted, and rearward visibility was non-existent. But none of that mattered. It was a poster car, a dream machine that defined automotive excess. Sales were never huge. Lamborghini built fewer than 2,000 Countach models over 16 years of production. But the car kept the company alive through multiple ownership changes and financial crises. Every time Lamborghini teetered on bankruptcy, the Countach brought in just enough money to survive another year. What most people miss is how the Countach shaped Lamborghini's identity forever. Before the Countach, Lamborghini was an upstart rival to Ferrari. After the Countach, they became the kings of outrageous, over-the-top supercars. That identity carried through to the Diablo, Murcielago, and Aventador. Every Lamborghini since has borrowed the Countach's DNA. The Countach also became a pop culture icon. It appeared on bedroom posters in movies and music videos. Kids who grew up dreaming about the Countach became adults who bought Lamborghinis. The car created generational brand loyalty that still pays dividends today. Today, clean Countach models sell for over $500,000, and special editions cross 7 figures. The car is appreciated into the stratosphere because it represents a moment when a dying company built something so wild, so uncompromising that it couldn't fail. Without the Countach, Lamborghini would have died in the 1970s. Instead, they became one of the most valuable supercar brands on Earth, now owned by Volkswagen Group and selling more cars than ever. All because they built a scissor-doored spaceship that refused to make sense. Tesla Model 3. Tesla was burning cash in 2017. The Model S and Model X were impressive, but production volumes were low and the company was bleeding money. Elon Musk promised the Model 3 would be Tesla's mass-market car, starting at $35,000 and selling 500,000 units per year. Most analysts assumed Tesla would go bankrupt trying. Instead, the Model 3 saved the company and changed the entire automotive industry. The Model 3 launched with massive hype and over 400,000 reservations. But production was a disaster. Tesla called it production hell. The assembly line couldn't keep up. Quality control was non-existent. Cars were being finished in tents outside the factory. Musk was sleeping on the factory floor, trying to solve bottlenecks in real time. Slowly, Tesla figured it out. Production ramped up. Quality improved, and the cars started reaching customers. The response was overwhelmingly positive. The Model 3 was quick, with even the base model hitting 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds. The interior was minimalist, dominated by a single touchscreen, and the range was competitive with gas cars, making it practical for daily use. What made the Model 3 revolutionary was its technology. Over-the-air updates improved the car after purchase. Autopilot offered semi-autonomous driving. The supercharger network eliminated range anxiety, and the instant torque from the electric motors made it more fun to drive than most gas-powered sedans. Sales exploded. By 2019, the Model 3 was the best-selling luxury sedan in America, outselling the BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, and Audi A4 combined. It became the best-selling electric vehicle globally. Tesla went from near bankruptcy to profitability, and the stock price skyrocketed. The Model 3 proved electric cars could be mainstream. Before the Model 3, EVs were either expensive toys for the wealthy or compromised economy cars. The Model 3 showed you could build an affordable electric car that people actually wanted to buy. That forced every other automaker to accelerate their EV programs. Today, Tesla has sold over 2 million Model 3s globally. The car single-handedly made Tesla profitable and turned Elon Musk into the richest person on Earth. More importantly, it accelerated the entire automotive industry's transition to electric vehicles. Without the Model 3, Tesla would have collapsed under its own ambition. Instead, it became the most valuable car company in the world. One car took electric vehicles from niche curiosity to mainstream reality, and it saved Tesla from bankruptcy in the process.